And here's something that I haven't heard anywhere else. What we consume consumes us. You're going to be consumed mentally by what you put in your body. So if you live a life like I do, all day, every day, I'm thinking about how am I going to be intentional about what I ingest, what images, who I choose to interact with in this space, what food I put in my body. And I'm consumed by that. But
yeah, and the disease model keeps us in a victim mindset, because the disease model means that you don't have any control over what's happening to you. And I want to talk about one of the things that was really hard for me for a long time was feeling helpless and feeling like I had no self-control. And that was, self-discipline was really hard, because every time I would experience any, especially hypomania and then crashing into depression, it was just, I felt like I was being yanked on a roller coaster, and I just held on for dear life until it was over. And I remember when I very first started keeping promises to myself, when I very first started being able to follow through on commitments that I made to myself and do it even, and learning how to manage those expectations so that I could follow through on them, that was when I started feeling better about myself. That was when I started feeling like empowered and feeling like maybe I can do this, and maybe it is possible to live better with this disorder. And so I want you to talk to me a little bit about the beginning of that journey. What was that like? How did you motivate yourself? How did you follow through? How did you keep promises to yourself? What did that look like?
I mean, it was a matter of life and death. I was desperate. It was freedom or death. I mean, I had no other choice. I could not give myself a way out. I was so desperate for change. And yeah, you said it very well. Once you keep promises to yourself, because here's the problem: the world will break its promise to you. People in your family will break your promises to you. That's probably what hurt me the most growing up, is having promises broken to me, and people saying things and not doing them, and modeling the living example of the opposite of whatever hurt you is the best way to do it. So I think a lot of people, parents that have drug and drink problems, and then they have drug and drink problems. If you model a sober life, then you can show, okay, I'm not like this person that hurt me. A lot of issues of people I know that maybe had some challenges, romantic challenges when they were young, or heartbreak, or maybe just things in like that space, and so they become promiscuous or whatever it is. If you model a more straight-laced, self-controlled lifestyle, then you are modeling behaviors the opposite of whoever hurt you. And that was so empowering, because I thought, okay, the world broke its promises to me. People broke their promises to me. That's just who I'm going to be. I'm going to be this broken individual. But as soon as I took the steps necessary to hold those promises to myself, which were difficult, but I mean, I had no other option. It was that or the grave. Yeah. And for anyone listening that is on the fence, you have to get off the fence. Either stay on that side of the fence in that broken life, like I was for 20 years, from 14 to 34, I used drugs and drank, or be fully on this side and just go all in on anything. It doesn't even have to be what I did or what Michelle did, on any sort of process that keeps you strong. That's what I did for me. I was just desperate. It was too painful to go back. I mean, I had I don't know if I mentioned this on the intro call, but one of the things that precipitated my change is I was living the single life, and kind of sleeping around and doing all this negative stuff. And I engaged with someone who really liked me. I mean, she was actually in love with me, and I wasn't there, and I was kind of disrespectful. And one night, after being a drunken idiot, I got called out on it. And I kind of, for a moment, I had this moment of clarity where I zoomed out on my life, on all these times where I had been in not the right mind state with women I was dating or hooking up with or engaged with. I was just not present, physically, emotionally, whatever. And I realized that, what kind of man are you? I actually asked myself that, what kind of man are you? And from that day forward, I just resolved to be different. It took a lot of pain. Honestly, I think what stops a lot of people from changing is I don't think their situation is bad enough. I really don't. I honestly don't. And that just speaks to what people believe to be problems. If they were real problems, wouldn't they be motivating enough for you to change? I really think most people want something to complain about. If you have an issue and you are not working on it, it is not a real issue, because a real issue would cause you to work on it, whether that be to ask for pills or to go to therapy or to work out or whatever. But if If you experience pain in your life and you are simply only willing to complain about it, then is your pain really that serious? Or do you just want someone to complain about?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's choosing to take control, choosing to take responsibility and do something about what's happening in your life. And so I would love for you to talk about what are the elements that were the most important. You've talked a little bit about this, earlier, but if you can talk about what are the most, you talked about sleep, you talked about your diet, you talked about exercise. What are the things that were key to turning things around for you? And what did that look like for you?
The first most critical thing is to cut out the vices. Growth is a subtractive process. It is not additive. If you all or anyone looking to change simply took everything negative away and didn't add any positive stuff to your life, you would leapfrog the competition. So the first thing to do is to remove the destructive vices that keep you a servant to the feelings of negativity. That is no drinking, no drugs. Those are the most basic fundamental vices that everyone is enraptured by. Now, the food thing is also critical, but as soon as you take away the drink and drugs, you'll notice that the food is the next thing for you to focus on. And that is, you are what you eat, and not just the substance, but the manner in which you do it. So if one is intentional about their nutrition, they understand what they're eating, why, and how they can do it. That adds a level of intent. I couldn't change my life until I changed what I ate. And it wasn't just what I was eating. It's how I was thinking about it. If you think about your meals, then you automatically have to shop ahead of time. If you're shopping ahead of time, you're going to be buying in bulk and thinking about your expenses for the week. If you're doing that, you're saving money. If you're saving money, you're being responsible. So you have a level of responsibility generated just from thinking about your meals. I would prep my meals every Sunday. I had a pretty high intensity tech job. I was working 5, sometimes 6 days a week. And so I had to be intentional. I had my macros from my coach. It's the same macros that I provide for my clients. So I had to be intentional. I had to understand what fats, carbs, and proteins were. Because I had a limited amount of calories every day, I couldn't eat any processed food. Whole foods are far more inexpensive than processed food. So I had all of these things. I think I paid for my initial coaching course in probably the first 3 or 4 weeks just on not eating crap, drinking alcohol, and doing drugs.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And the initial investment is quite small. My coaching programs cost between $8 and $10 a day to get custom exercise and macronutrient breakdown recipes and calls with me. And I had been intimidated as well because I'd never bought anything online really like this. But within that first few weeks, I realized, holy crap, the value, not just the spiritual intrinsic value, but the extrinsic value is massive. Don't drink anymore, so you're not out late. You're not out late, so you're not engaging with people you don't care about. You're not engaging with people you don't care about, so you don't have karmic debt. You don't have karmic debt, so you can wake up early and look at yourself in the mirror. And then what do you know? You're not a dirtbag anymore. You're not overweight anymore. You actually have clarity in your eyes. People are hitting you up on LinkedIn for jobs. People are like, my life just exploded, expanded. I had a fine, okay job doing something I sort of liked. And within a short amount of time after getting my life together, I guess I got a call from the spirits to elevate, and I went to do all these other cool things. And just, it all comes down to what we consume. And here's something that I haven't heard anywhere else. What we consume consumes us. You're going to be consumed mentally by what you put in your body. So if you live a life like I do, all day, every day, I'm thinking about how am I going to be intentional about what I ingest, what images, who I choose to interact with in this space, what food I put in my body. And I'm consumed by that. But back in the day, I would be consumed by, where's the party? Is the Coke dealer going to come by? Can I get mushrooms? What bottle of gin? Whose body am I going to look to consume? Like all these other things. So whatever you're consuming is going to consume you. So now I'm consumed by positive images. I don't consume any mass media that's negative. I don't watch or engage in any stuff that's kind of I'd be ashamed of. I live my life openly. And now I'm consumed by being this outward, living, open example of the person that I always needed.